modern societies, both capitalist and to large extent uh, emerging societies, one can find that people have put their faith on democracy and increasingly on the rule of law. So the question becomes, what is exactly we mean by rule of law? In a different context, Selznick says rule of law is about non-arbitrariness. And when we examine non-arbitrariness, we found the concept of justice, law and equity together. Therefore, a primary understanding should be to understand the concept of justice. And here in this context, the latest development that come to us as two pioneering books, one by John Rawls, A Theory of Justice, and other one, the Sen's, Amartya Sen's Idea of Justice. So therefore, the concept then again becomes, what is the difference and similarities that as a student of sociology of law, as a student of law generally, and of philosophy can examine, find in these two broad generalizations, broad conceptualization of justice. To begin with, that same the idea of sense, idea of justice is itself is dedicated to Rawls, and Sen quite seriously find out that the contributions of John Rawls towards an idea of theory of justice cannot be undermined, because such type of thinking comes in a generation or so, and therefore he begins with the understanding both as an appreciation of Rawls' contribution to the theory of justice and also as a critic of Rawls' theory of justice. So first is that what is there in Rawls? Rawls begins with a notion of justice which finds is fundamentals in Aristotle's conception of justice and later located in Kant's philosophy. So Rawls' major problem has been that the idea of justice is an ideological one, is a theoretical one. So he finds what could be the best conception of justice would be, and rightly he explorates that justice is fairness. And going through the argument, he again dwells into the social contract theory, where he says the people have contracted themselves to develop an equitable world order, equitable society, social structure, where everybody was treated fairly. And this, for him, is the original position. But again he finds that this system of fairness, the justice and fairness, have not gone together due to various and inevitable discontinuities. And these discontinuities, they find that some people tend to be benefited more than others, and sometimes these benefits are for the largest people, which is again an utilitarian argument. And therefore he said, in order to make a better system of justice, better framework of justice, one must look into in the context of what is called veil of ignorance. That a person should begin with that what is the minimum he could find without hurting the interest of others. This original interest and the original position of beginning from a veil of ignorance is what Rawls prescribes should be a theoretical model to create a fair society and therefore ensuring justice for the people, which again located in the role of the government and the state in ensuring that. And Sen's argument begins with that. He, though agrees with the idea of justice as a fairness, or concept of justice as fairness, but he staunchly criticizes both the utilitarian and social contract theory position. For him, justice is not something utilitarian. For him, the idea of justice is inherent in human psychology, and therefore he links it to the earlier concepts of justice in terms of entitlement and capability and freedom. So Sense notion of idea of justice is a combination of all these three, that is freedom, capability, and entitlement. And arguing further, Sense also took given a very beautiful example in terms of who three little kids and the flute. And he says that a flute is prepared by someone, he would say that I would get it because I have prepared it. Someone says no, I will get it because I know how to play it. And someone would say that I don't have any toy to play with, so therefore I would have the flute. All the arguments represent, or the three argument represents Aristotelian sense of justice, libertarian sense of justice, and egalitarian sense of justice. For Sen, Rawls stops with only one idea, one set of justice. But for Sen, these three can be equally compelling arguments, and three could have the sources. And therefore, he criticizes the utilitarian notion of justice, which provides the largest good for the largest number of people, and also criticizes the modern economic theory, which says that justice is secondary to the economic development. And Sense argues that freedom is essential, and people with freedom and capability always find their justice, and hence the concepts of justice must not be rooted either in economic prosperity or in utilitarianism, but it has multifaceted dimensions, and each need to be critically found out, engaged, and then in a democratic society with the rule of law can be assumed and found out. So, in a sense, I do believe that more than the theoretical proposition of Rawls, Sense idea of justice is more humanitarian. But for students of law, sociology, and philosophy, it will be pertinent to examine these two texts of the century and look at it in the broader conception of human freedom, human personal capabilities, and the development of society to realize this notion of sense of justice rather than either theory of justice or idea of justice.